Welcome back to the Executive Code Podcast. And you're probably wondering to yourself, what's been going on? What's been happening? Because if you realize and been following my podcasts, you'll know that at the end of July, I recorded an episode which was called Living Life. And what I said in that particular episode was that I was going to take a break for the month of August. And what I did was I re-released some of the previous episodes. The episodes that people most commented about were most downloaded, and people sent me emails in terms of those particular episodes. So what I did was I re-released them for the month of August, and nothing's been released in September. And now we're back to recording after such a short break, but yet it seems like it's been a long break. So let me give you a few things of what's been happening over the last couple of months. Well, on that last episode that I recorded, which I called Living Life, it stemmed from someone that was close to me. And since recording that episode, my brother Anthony passed away. Now, Anthony was 56 and he had been dealing with a terminal cancer for the past 4 years. And on the 1st of September, he passed away in his home in Amsterdam. Now, as brothers, we managed to get to visit him on his birthday on the 16th of August and again on the 25th of August. With all the COVID restrictions, we weren't able to do any visits prior to that whatsoever. And it's ironic because some of Anthony's final words to us as brothers was for us to live life. And the episode that I titled before I took this break at the end of July was Living Life. Now, he told us that he had no regrets and he just didn't want to die. And if you followed this particular podcast from the very, very beginning, you'll know that my other brother, Eugene, passed away 10 years ago, also in September. So 10 years ago, it's actually September 2011 when Eugene passed away. And all I can say is grief never gets any easier. It's still heart-wrenching to this day. So hence the reason why I'm a little bit later getting back to recording these podcasts and what I had actually planned. So that's just to give you an update of what's been going on over the last couple of months. And that's part of what I want to talk to you about on this particular episode. You see, I use a phrase, and it is a common phrase, it's not my own phrase. I did come across it many, many years ago. And the phrase is, you see, we plan and God laughs. Because over the month of August, the vast majority of what I had planned was thrown up in the air. And honestly, it was so much fun to observe. And here's why. You see, all the meetings that I had planned and all the different things that I had in my mind to do, it was like as if I was sitting there playing a game of chess, looking at all the pieces, and someone came along, picked up the board, and threw all the pieces in the air, and I had to watch where they all landed. So what has happened over the last number of months is literally in response to the events that have actually taken place. And you might say, well, so what? Well, if I was to go back about 10 years or so, if that same thing had happened, as in somebody coming along and picking up the game board and just throwing it up in the air, and I'd have to see all the pieces fall back into place again, I'd have a very different way of actually approaching it 10 years ago. I would have been there throwing my toys out of the pram and getting annoyed with everything and to try and put everything back together again and put it back to the way I wanted it and the way I had planned it. But not now. You see, I had no attachment to all the different events that showed up. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean that I just sat back and didn't care. That's not what it's about. I sat back and observed the wonder of it all. Because all the meetings that I had planned and all the different things that were in my diary literally got moved around independently of me in order to facilitate different things that were going on over the last couple of months. And when I most needed the time to react to different things that were showing up, the diary was taken care of in the most miraculous ways. Because without me interfering, I was able to see how everything that needed to be done was actually accommodated and how new things showed up, and it made it so much easier for different things to be done. It was just absolutely amazing to observe, and the absolute perfection of it all was phenomenal. But what's the secret? The secret is actually just let go. That's not the same, as I said, it's not the same as not caring. It's far from it. It's about letting things happen the way they're meant to happen. while being attuned to playing your part in what you need to do. It's about not trying to control things. Now, I've spoken before about never worry about the how. The how will always show up. The how for you to achieve what it is you want to achieve in life. By letting go, you're allowing that how to actually show up in ways you couldn't even envisage. Now, when you let go, everything in your life becomes more enjoyable. You're not trying to control things. You're not having to react to different things as they change and new things come about. If we're trying to control things, we want things to happen in a particular way. But letting go makes your life so much easier. It allows for other things to come into your life, better things to come into your life. I spoke before about not being attached. Letting go is part of that non-attachment. It's allowing things to be in flow. You still have to do your part. You still have an action to do as part of that flow, but you're able to take the time and the observation to be able to know what it is that you need to do in order for that flow to happen more easily. So one of the things I wanted to share with you today was actually about just letting go. Because as you can imagine, all the different things that would have been going on at that time over the last couple of months, with everything that was going on, you can imagine how all the different emotions that were actually showing up and the different things that we had to deal with. And bear in mind, Anthony passed away in Amsterdam. So Anthony had to be brought home here to Ireland in order to be buried. So that brought a whole other dimension to saying goodbye to our brother. So what I'm saying to you is that letting go is such an important aspect of how you live life. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you. The second thing that's been happening is that this podcast is going to take on a new format. So the podcast will now be a question and answer podcast. And you know that I tend to always do things differently to everyone else. You see, the vast majority of podcasts are done from the perspective of you bring a guest on and the host interviews them in terms of asking them questions. But I'm going to do something completely differently. I'm literally bringing guests on and they ask me the questions. So whatever questions that they have in terms of personal mastery or living a life of purpose or how you discover your purpose, they're the kinds of questions that people are going to ask me, and they're going to come on the show, ask me those questions, and I'm going to answer them. And that's what the podcast will be about. Now, with that new format, what that means is that we'll be able to go into details a little bit more deeper. I'll be able to share information that's relevant to our listeners, to you, to what it is that you want to find out. And it also gives you the opportunity, if you want to be a guest on the show, in order for you to ask whatever questions you want to get answered, and therefore get the answers that you want to help you on your journey and on your life. In that way, I'm answering the questions that you, the listener, want to hear about, so we can drill down deeper and to get a deeper understanding of what it means for each particular question. So that's what the new format is going to be. It's about a Q&A, but not only that, it's going to be a video podcast. So what I mean by that is that you can watch the podcast on YouTube or you can listen to it on your podcast platform. So whatever modality that you prefer, if you prefer to listen to it on your podcast platform, it's there going to be available. The audio version of it, if you want to watch the actual interview taking place, it's going to be available on YouTube. So whatever you work better with, as in video or auditory, well then it's going to help you from that perspective. And the first episode is going to be released next week. So that's where the first Q&A is going to take place. One of our members from our community has joined me in answering or asking me some of those questions that you guys want to get answered. And she's also going to introduce herself. And she's going to be our resident interviewer, meaning she's one of the members within the community. And she is going to curate a lot of the questions that go on within the community in order to share them with our podcast listeners. And hopefully now our YouTube listeners. But also from the perspective of it also gives you, the listener, the opportunity to come on the podcast and ask me whatever questions you want to find out more about, so that it helps you on your personal mastery journey and how you can live your life on purpose. And if you're coming on the show, you're also going to get your business mentioned, and we're also going to be sharing the links to the interview and your business on social media. So it's a win-win for both parties, but not only that. Because once we've recorded the actual podcast episode and I've answered your questions from that perspective, I'm going to also have a one-to-one session with you afterwards. So we can go into more personal details of what it is that you want to get covered or whatever questions or insights that you want to get to help you on your journey. So as a guest interview on my show, that's what's going to happen. You're going to come on my show. You're going to ask me whatever questions you want to ask in terms of helping other people on their journey as well, because they're going to learn by the questions that you're asking. But then afterwards, we're going to have a separate one-to-one session whereby I'm going to help you on your journey or on your business, one or the other. And once the episode is recorded, we're going to share the episode on our podcast platform, our YouTube platform, and share the links back to your business on our social media platforms as well. So if you want to be a guest on the show, all you've got to do is head over to my website, paulwilliamdavis.com, and all the details are there in the podcast area of coming on and being a guest on my show. And lastly, the next thing that I want to announce that I've been working on over the last couple of months is I'm launching a new mastermind group. Now, if you're not familiar with what mastermind groups are, it's a group of where equally passionate business owners come together regularly to solve their challenges with input and advice from other group members. And the whole purpose is to help each other to succeed. So when you're trying to figure things out on your own and you don't know what that next step is or what it is that you should be doing, or you're trying to get feedback or trying to work through some elements of your personal life or your business life, and you're trying to get that advice, well, a mastermind group is an absolutely amazing resource to be part of because you're getting the collective knowledge of the people around the room. Now, I've been running mastermind groups in all different ways and different formats for many, many years, and I've witnessed how powerful they are for the people involved, whether it be the business and the person connections or the encouragement, the support that people get from being part of the actual mastermind group itself, but also the clarity, the progress that they make in their business and in their personal lives. Mastermind groups are absolutely phenomenal. So what I'm doing is I've actually launched a brand new mastermind group which forms part of the Executive Code community. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to meet weekly every single Monday at 2 o'clock Irish time or UK time, and we're going to meet for 1 hour. Now, each person is going to be given a time to share the question to the group, and then we're going to go around the actual group itself and find out, okay, so what's the feedback or the answers or the support that's needed for that member in order to help them on their journey, or to give feedback or to answer whatever questions that member has. And we go around each member that's attending a particular meeting. And I'm going to facilitate every single one of those mastermind meetings. So every single Monday, 2 o'clock, we're going to have a mastermind meeting. And all you need to do is join the community. And once you're in the community, well, then you have access to the mastermind group. Now, do you need to attend every single session? No, you don't. Whatever sessions that you can actually join are the sessions that you'll join. You don't have to attend every single session. However, the more you'll be part of the sessions, you don't necessarily have to have questions to ask, but even if you're part there, you're also learning from everybody else in this session. So mastermind groups are so powerful. So all you need to do to qualify is all you have to be is an independent business owner. That's it. And if you value the support of others and you love to see others succeed and help them in building their own business and supporting them in their life through a mastermind format, well, then that's what the group is going to be for you. That's all you need to qualify. What's it going to cost? Well, that's the best part. It's nothing. It's for free. You see, I'm going to be running these sessions over Zoom, so there's no travel costs either for anybody. It's one of the things I wanted to build into the community, but I had to form the community first of all, which is the Executive Code community. It's the same name as the podcast. And the whole point is to help people on their journey to live life fully and to live a purpose-driven life. So I'm bringing a number of different resources and a number of different mechanisms into the community to help the members of that community to live their fullest life and to reach their full potential. So I'm providing the actual mastermind session from that perspective completely for free in order to bring people together. Now, are there other parts of the community? Yeah, there is. You'll be familiar, if you're in the community, you'll be familiar with the Executive Lounge and the Pilot's Lounge. They're very different lounges, meaning we go into an awful lot more deeper into particular content, but those lounges are for training on personal mastery and business mastery. That's what we cover in those areas. So it's a lot of things that we cover within the Executive Lounge. And if you're not yet a member, you absolutely should be a member of the Executive Code community. Now, the first meeting is going to be taking place on Monday, the 11th of October. Now, if you can't make that one, don't worry, because as I said, we're going to be running the meetings every single Monday from there on, except for Bank Holiday Mondays, obviously. Now, all you have to do is join the community, which again is free to join as well. And all the details for joining the Mastermind meeting are there within the community itself. So that's what I wanted to give you an update in this particular episode. It's a very, very different episode because it's more just around just letting you guys know what's actually happening or what has actually happened over the last couple of months. So it's just, again, just to communicate to you guys as regards what's going on, all right? And to give you a few announcements. So let me just summarize as regards what you want to take away from this particular episode. First of all, you want to ask yourself, are you living your life fully? And are you living a purpose-driven life? And if you're not, why not? That's one of the most important questions I could ever ask anybody. The next thing that you want to do is that, or the next thing I want to say to you as part of this episode is, one of the keys to personal mastery is letting go. I've seen that manifest so amazingly over the last couple of months. It is just phenomenal to observe and be part of. So hence the reason why I'm bringing it into this particular podcast episode. So the more you let go, the more your life gets into flow. Now, the next thing then is the video podcast that we're releasing, which is coming out next week. That's the first episode on a video format that's going to come out next week. So if you want to watch it on YouTube, you can watch on YouTube. If you can still continue on the podcast platforms. So that's absolutely fine. Whichever works for you, all the better. And if you want to be a guest on an upcoming show, all you got to do is go to my website, and all the details there are in the podcast area of the website itself. And lastly, come join us in our Mastermind group. Again, as I said, it's been held every single Monday, the first one being the 11th of October. All the details on how to access it are within the community. And again, all you need to do is go to our website and you'll get the link to our community itself. And as I said, it's free to join. Now, as you can hear, there's been a lot happening over the last couple of months, hence the reason I've been a bit quiet on the podcast front. But we're kicking off again with much more resource to help you on your journey. And I've got so much more planned. So if you really want the support on your journey to help you achieve the full potential that you're absolutely meant to achieve, come join us in our community. I cannot emphasize that enough, because the more support you're going to get is just going to be phenomenal. But until next time, I wish you every success.